Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dharmartha Uttama Shlokam. Tantu Tanvan Pitrin Yajet. Rakshakama Punya Janan. Ojas Kamo Marud Ganan. Thank you. Dharmartha Uttama Shlokam. Tantu Tanvan Pitrin Yajet. Rakshakama Punya Janan. Ojas Kamo Marud Ganan. Please chant.
Dharmartha Uttama Shlokam.
Dharmartha Uttama Shlokam. Tantu Tanvan Prajet.
Raksha Kama Punya Janan.
Rakshakama Punya Janan. Ojas Kamo Marud Ganan.
Dharmartha Uttama Shlokam.
Dharmartha Uttamam Shlokam.
Tantu Tanvan Pitrin Yajet.
Tantu Tanvan Pitrin Yajet.
Raksha Kama Punya Janan.
Rakshakama Punya Janan.
Ojas Kamo Marud Ganan.
Ojas Kamo Marud Ganan.
Dharmartha Uttama Shlokam.
Dharmartha Uttamam Shlokam.
Tantu Tanvan Pitrin Yajet.
Tantu Tanvan Pitrin Yajet.
Rakshakama Punya Janan.
Rakshakama Punya Janan.
Ojas Kamo Marud Ganan.
Ojas Kama Marut Ganan.
Dharmartha Uttama Shlokam.
Dharmartha Uttama Shlokam.
Tantu Tanvan Pritin Yajet.
Tantu Tanvan Pitrin Yajet.
Raksha Kamaha Punya Janan.
Rakshakama Punya Janan.
Ojas Kamo Marud Ganan.
Ojas Kamo Marut Ganan. Let's read the synonyms together. Dharma, Artha, for spiritual advancement. Uttama, Shloka, the Supreme Lord or persons attached to the Supreme Lord. Tantu, for offspring. Tanvan, for their protection. Pitrin, the residents of Pitriloka. Yajet, must worship. Rakshakama, one who desires protection. Punya Janan, pious persons. Oja Kama, one who desires strength, should worship. Marut Ganan, the demigods. In translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Let's read the translation together. One should worship Lord Vishnu or his devotees for spiritual advancement and knowledge, and for protection of heredity and advancement of a dynasty. One should worship the various demigods. Purport. The path of religion entails making progress on the path of spiritual advancement, ultimately reviving the eternal relation with Lord Vishnu in his impersonal effulgence, his localized Paramatma feature, and ultimately his personal feature by spiritual advancement in knowledge. One who wants to establish a good dynasty and be happy in the progress of temporary bodily relations should take shelter of the Pitas and the demigods and other pious planets. Such different classes of worshippers of different demigods may ultimately reach the respective planets of those demigods within the universe. But he who reaches the spiritual planets and the Brahmajyoti achieves the highest perfection. See, this goes on for some time. Oh, it's just the very next verse. Huh? Yes. So why don't we read this next translation and then the famous verse following it together, please. One who desires domination over a kingdom
should worship the Manus. One who desires victory over an enemy should worship the demons. And one who desires sense gratification should worship the moon. But one who desires nothing but material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Personality of God.
Okay, good. And then number 10, let's do the Sanskrit responsively one time. Akama sarva kamo va.
Uttama sarva kamo va.
Moksha kama udaradi.
Moksha kama udarati.
Tivrena bhakti yogena.
Trivena bhakti yogena.
Yajeta purusham param.
Yajeta purusham param.
And together. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of material desires, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. This is a very important and valuable verse in Bhagavatam. Easy to memorize too. Akama, sarvakama va, moksha kama, udaradi. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Tivrena means with great force. Yes, bhakti yogena. Yajeta, that's kind of an admonition, should worship Purusham Param. You have this in your family backgrounds. I was reading your dynasty, right? Is that the...
Yeah. Kirti did that for our school project. Sunday school project.
Sunday school project.
Yeah. We did last year, I think.
Family tree.
Family tree. Dating back generations. Yeah, so...
Whoever we could remember.
So there's a great emphasis on this in the Vedic tradition, right? The worship of the forefathers, honoring the ancestors, honoring the parents, which is just so absent in our culture, contemporary culture. What was it Gandhi said? What do you think of Western civilization? I think it would be a good idea. So it's so challenging to raise children in this environment where you have these conflicting cultures. What has been your experience, Manish Prabhu?
I think we are, it's little difficult. Means we are trying to teach them Indian culture also, but since they are studying here, we don't force them as well, because we want to make them their own choices. But sometimes the struggle comes like when they talk to my parents, right? My parents wants to talk to their grandkids, and they are like, they are not much interested. So that's where a little disconnect. Because my brother, like, he has also 2 kids, and they are like very much close because they live in the same house, talk the same language. So that's where it becomes little difficult.
Is it a question of language, or is it a question of just attitude?
Language, yeah, attitude is okay, I think, because it's all family. But I think it's because of the distance and the language and things. So
they cannot speak as fluently in
Hindi.
I see.
But we try to teach them whatever we can. Yeah. But I think the good part is, like, since now they are connected here, Krishna consciousness, their friend circle is also like the devotees' kids, right? So that is a good part. So rather than looking outside, right, they will have those friends and like the same environment they will get. So we'll see how long it will go.
Yes. And somehow Rancher has navigated this to the point where he's like running circles around all of us in his sadhana.
No, I think at least though I didn't have my parents, right? Like, they left. Well, my dad left in 1999. My mom in 2004. So my dad never saw any grandkids, but my mom saw Ranchor, right? But all us Krishna Jivini's parents, right? Like their parents, they used to come, right? And actually, Ranchor lived in India for 5 months, from age 5 to 11. Because she was in residency, there's no way that we can take care of him. So we sent him to India. And when I went to pick him up, he couldn't even recognize me.
Really?
He won't even come to me.
Oh, really?
It took like 3 days for him to come to me.
Oh.
Yeah.
How old was he?
11 months at that time. Yeah. So anyway, but then we made a point, like, we used to go to India frequently. And because my sister didn't have visa at the time, so we used to go, and then her parents used to come. So they were actually attached to their grandparents and my sister's family as well. And when Kirti was born, same thing, they were here. But we sent Kirti to daycare in like 6 months. and we have made a point to go to India frequently.
Mm.
Just in the pandemic, they had that 3-4 years break,
Mm-hmm.
but we went twice into
Mhm.
India during that time. So
Mhm.
she has good connection with my sister and also with
Yeah,
James' parents.
the families are, but it's the friends that has become challenging. Making friendships, having a social life
Yes.
when they're in public school or even a private school, but the people around them are not Krishna conscious, and
Yeah.
they have to fit in.
Yeah, Rancho struggled a lot, right?
Mm.
He doesn't talk to us, but some of the programs stopped going, like robotics and other things, just because of this.
There's so much passion and
Yeah, that they didn't like he wouldn't eat with them, and there's he had to like isolate himself from and the things that they talk
Mhm.
is not. It's not
Mhm.
even. It doesn't have to be Krishna consciousness. It's also not decent.
Yes.
And the kids that in the middle school itself, like 6th grade, he had great friends.
Mm.
All the boys, like 3 or 4 boys, will come and run inside the home.
Mm.
They'll run here, doors open, and Kirti will sit with them and eat. So I thought, wow, wonderful, good.
Mm.
But then in 7th grade, 8th grade, it started falling apart.
Mm.
And then he got more serious into Krishna consciousness.
Mm.
And he said, like, we asked him, hey, what happened? You're not talking. No, I don't like them. When we talk during the pandemic time, they will have a Zoom call and all.
Mhm.
That also stopped. He said, oh, they're talking about this and all that stuff at this age. So I don't know. He said we understood. So there are only 2 boys that narrowed down who stuck with him. But at high school, junior and senior year, he was going to OSU. His classes were entirely different from other groups.
Mhm.
He literally didn't have any friends.
Mhm.
And that's when I was so worried
Mm.
what will happen to him.
Mm.
But then Youth Jam started and he went to New York.
Mm.
Now he has like 30-40 Krishna conscious friends.
That's so
He
nice.
went to your Yatra. So when he was grieving more than me and Krishna Jivani, his friends were the ones who helped to cope it.
Mm. Mm.
So at least that online media he was able to help. So that's a struggle for sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
Kirti, she's okay for now. I don't know. She has like 10 or 15 friends, and
Mhm.
they came for the birthday parties, and everybody knows that she doesn't eat egg and
Mhm.
all that. She sometimes goes to sleepover and things like that.
Mhm.
They will make something that's not egg or without eggs
For her. I see. Mhm.
She really thrives with friends.
Mhm.
Kirti is a social person,
Mm.
either in the temple friends or the school friends.
Mm.
She needs to have that.
Mhm.
Otherwise, but I think she has learned to decouple.
Yes, to compartmentalize.
Compartmentalize.
Yes.
When she is with her friends, at school friends, she is just with them, right? Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
but then when she comes home, she can immediately switch to like if she's with the temple friends or whatever. That's how it is.
Mhm.
And she takes Indian food to school, and
Mhm.
in elementary school, she said that I will keep my lunch bag in front of my lunch box and then I eat.
Mm.
But now she's gotten over that,
I see.
and everybody knows that she brings food from home.
Ah.
And she will eat Indian food.
Mhm.
And,
So she's in 6th grade. This is the time when Ranchor.
yes, so that's what I'm thinking. Maybe like in a couple of years, we will see the transition from her as well.
Girls are a little easier
Yeah.
to the boys.
No, they are mean more than boys.
Boys can be mean too.
Yeah. Rancho used to come and cry.
Because
Seventh grade, 8th grade.
he feels so isolated. Or,
Yeah, they're isolated, and the way the boys would talk and treat him.
Mhm.
And there are some kids who challenge the Indian religion stuff,
Mm,
and God, and things like that.
mm, mm.
But after that, he started reading, associating, so he had things to say.
Mhm.
And then he was in debate, so probably all
Yeah,
that he
to stand on
was
it.
able to understand. No, that's really a big challenge, right? Like, not only kids, even for us at work,
Mm.
right? Like Krishna Jivani, she, because of her profession and things like that, she mingles with everybody and she takes prasadam, and we cook, and then she will give it to her team,
Mm.
all the nurse practitioners, nurses.
Mm.
They will eat prasadam and all that. Once in a while she does that, but I am not at that level at work. Right? Like I always have a distance, because like all the Americans, basically they it's very difficult, right?
Mhm.
Like the language they talk, and
The topics that
the
you
topics they talk, and the food they eat. I'm glad that we are, this hybrid model is there, right?
Mhm.
My boss comes from Phoenix,
Mm.
so now once in a while we go for lunch or dinner. So that's when I get to meet rest of my colleagues.
Mm. Mm.
But yeah, I'll manage that occasions. Yeah, it's a real challenge. Like the next.
How's it going at school for you, Shirana?
Great.
You're the teacher, so
Now I don't have a boss,
Mhm.
like boss mentoring me, because now I can do my own way of teaching. Teaching was fun, but it was a lot of work in that first year, because you're preparing all the material.
right.
It's just like my father was saying, you're preparing a material just like I did for Bhakti Shastri.
Uh-huh.
He also struggled. He was enjoying that I'm also teaching.
Uh-huh.
He's also teaching. So the first year was a little challenging, but I feel now 3 months off, that's a boon. Because no other job will give me 3 months off like this. 4 months actually,
Yeah.
December in a year. So even though the first year was difficult, I think it's nice.
And now you're prepared also for the yes.
for the next one.
And your, as far as your colleagues and interacting.
My colleagues are very understanding.
Mhm.
Yes, as Prabhu said, sometimes when we are hiring new candidates, we have to have lunch with them.
Mhm.
Even when I had my interview, I had to have lunch.
Mhm.
So I had to take salad or some sandwich.
Baked potato or something.
Baked potato.
Yes,
And
yeah.
fries.
Fries,
That's what I take for every
the
day.
salvation of the vegetarian.
I can't do that because it's expensive.
What is it?
I can't.
We can take them to an Indian restaurant.
Oh, Indian restaurant.
But it has to come to the budget according to the budget.
Oh, you are paying?
No, the university is paying.
Oh, I
They
see.
also look into the budget.
I see.
Indian food is sometimes expensive.
And by all means not vegetarian, right?
Yeah,
Most restaurants, yeah.
Exactly.
Uh-huh. And
That is a Nihis, right?
Yeah,
Like there's
yeah.
onion garlic free food.
oh,
Yeah,
I
Jane-
took my team once there.
Jane is all veg.
They have
All
both
vegetarian.
options.
They have
There's
both.
no non-vegetarian there.
Uh-huh.
This onion
Everything
garlic.
Everything is veg,
Uh.
but there are dishes where you can say no onion.
Uh-huh.
You'll find devotees there.
Yeah. All devotees you can go.
We have like 90% Indians in our team, so sometimes we go there.
I see.
But now we stopped because it's all remote. We work from home, so we hardly go out.
Oh, I see.
I think
Okay.
mine is very different from everything that we have heard so far. My colleagues, they all know I'm pretty serious in my spiritual practices, and we read also Bhagavad Gita sometimes together with my colleagues. And yeah, I know there are a couple of the guy sits sitting next to me. He's like, he's going through some challenges in life, so he would come to me and he'll say, how can I deal with all that? Then we have some more contactors, and even my manager, he also knows, because my country mala is always visiting, so that's what conversation started wherever we are. And
Nice.
even my dietary preferences, they all are aware. I don't eat anything outside, so they're like, all right, do you have your box ready? So very, very respectful, and they are completely understanding.
It's a non-profit where you work. That helps also, right? Have a little bit more sattvic
Right.
nature. Yeah.
Most of them are very spiritual. They all have their practices, and yeah, we discussed one person's wife passed away recently, very young age, and yeah, and so he was telling that, okay, this is how intuition is. Can you tell me about your practice? What
Wow.
do you think, and how do you do?
Oh, and we have so much to offer.
Yeah. So I gave him the the set of 5 books that they distribute. It's called
So,
Saptarishi.
and then there is a smaller version
Ah.
of 5 books, Bhakta set.
Mm.
So I gave him that.
Mm.
Okay, I'm gonna read it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he left the company.
Is this his wife who passed?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, very young age.
very traumatic.
No, he left. He could. Yeah. We all tried to talk to him that hey, what you're doing? Like, I just need some.
Yeah.
time off.
Yeah. Well, this is the emphasis here that for protection of heredity and advancement of a dynasty. And that's he sacrificed by making this big shift in a way to come to another country. You can't. I know many families in India have a very strong family ethic, and they get so much strength together, generational heritage. So you have to kind of, not entirely, but to a certain extent, you're breaking that by moving away so far away. And it always intrigues me. Sometimes the parents are very keen on it, sometimes they're not. So whatever it is, it takes a lot of courage to do that. And then you come here, and then you, instead of fitting into this society, you become Krishna conscious. So like, you just can't seem to like conform anywhere. This is the Bhagavatam's point that broader intelligence. So, whatever it is that motivates us to sacrifice, the sacrifice for Krishna, whether one is full of material desires or without any material desires, or desiring liberations, must approach Krishna. And that's the beauty of Krishna consciousness, that whatever our situation, we're getting to the essence of what life is about. And so what used to be our predominant considerations become secondary considerations when we put Krishna as our first consideration, which to materialists it just cannot fathom how that is possible. The material goals that people set are just so high and all-encompassing that to set them aside for spirituality just seems like very irresponsible, or very like you're going to regret this. One of my godbrothers said when he was, many years ago, he was doing Harinam, and somebody came up to him and said, "What are you going to do when you're 70? How are you going to maintain yourself?" And then he was saying this, he said, "Well, I'm 70 now, so I'm getting by." This idea of making Krishna the center is revolutionary. Mundane education, one of my godbrothers put it really nicely, they don't teach you not to be devotees, they teach you how to be a non-devotee. So that's the danger with kids, that in order to fit in, they'll just accept the values, and then the spiritual practices of their families will just be kind of marginalized. And this happens to many devotee families. That's why I brought up last night. It's so important not to try to vicariously perform our devotional service through our children, because they may or may not turn out like we like.
No, that's a very, very important point. So I always think, I am not that sincere or so pure, but virtuous.
Yeah.
So maybe I have that yesterday. But yesterday you woke me up. No, I don't think that you also be serious.
I think we try to fulfill our unfilled desires, right, through them.
And
Yeah.
sometimes the opposite also happens. As a kid, you think, "Oh, my father is doing very well. I'll just be dependent on his
You were.
spiritual achievements."
I see. Yes, human beings are lazy by nature. And the other thing we want is to have it both ways. We have our material life and our spiritual life. Then we can, then go on. And which is more important in the long run. that we hear from Prabhupada's books and by chanting every day, that just keeps our focus in the right direction. And the way our life unfolds from that point is different than it might have unfolded if we had not made Krishna the priority. So many considerations that would have been our very top, most important consideration then become second. Is this really going to help my spiritual life or not? Is it going to make it more difficult for me to chant or to associate with devotees, or will it facilitate? Then life is full of decisions, isn't it? It reminds me, writing is, I enjoy writing because it's just nonstop decisions. Every word, you have to consider every word. Is this the best word or is this a better word? Like even in this song, I sent you an earlier version of this song, and it just drives my wife nuts that I'm constantly editing and go back. Well, that's version 8, version 9.
It says quakes and then
And shakes, and other things. Anyway, I forgot. But the main thing is that these decisions, if they're always trying to get us closer to Krishna, that gives actually a tremendous stability in our lives, because we always know, okay, I'm going to go in that direction. And the decisions that we're facing then tend to become a little easier if we evaluate them in that light. How is this going to impact my spiritual life? Brajavihari Prabhu in New Vrindavan did a seminar on the balanced life, right? You were there? No, that was the day after. Yes. So he went through all the different considerations: your social, your physical, your economic, and your spiritual. So everything needs to be considered. If the spiritual goal, though, is what puts all the other things into perspective, at least for me, and I hope to share that with you. And somehow that's been the GPS of my life. Just, okay, even before I met the devotees, I've got to understand the spiritual life. What does this mean? What is God? What is my relationship with God? And everywhere I went, it was frustrating. It was empty, and everyone I met just didn't seem to have it until I met the devotees, and they were living it, like almost in spite of themselves. They were just kind of bubbling over with bliss, and they had so much to say, and so any question they could address. So that inspired me from that beginning. I said, I don't want to do anything else with my life but this. So I'm a fanatic, okay, but it isn't necessary to go to that depth, that extent. Something my parents could never understand or appreciate, but you understand, you appreciate, and I also appreciate your lives as professionals, that you can just find that balance by always keeping that. What does Krishna want? What will please Krishna the most? We have big decisions that come up, and all the time. If our purpose, at least, is to please Krishna, even if things don't work out exactly like we want to, we do the right thing. It turns out to maybe be the wrong thing, but we did it for the right reason. That's the other faith-challenging experience, that we try to do things for Krishna and then they don't work out as we had hoped. And that makes us wonder, is Krishna really guiding me? Does this Krishna consciousness work, basically? I'm doing something for Krishna. Materially, it goes completely wrong. And then we wonder. So this is why, again, the personal spiritual practice is so important, because we experience the stability it brings, the joy it brings, and that stays with us. And nobody can tell us that we haven't had that experience. So people may criticize, they may say, oh, because you're chanting, this part of your life is deficient, you're missing out on this, or you're trying this whole thing for Krishna and then it just doesn't work out. And of course, this happened to Srila Prabhupada over and over again, especially in India, but also when he was in the West. He said, I am not one to be easily discouraged. So whenever I'm discouraged, I think about that. So anyway, those some thoughts on this, because there's so much emphasis on the family, and the family goes from being perhaps our main consideration to a secondary consideration. We raise our family as a service to Krishna, as opposed we we are in our family, and we practice Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So, any other thoughts?
Yeah, I was thinking a couple of points. One question. So the one thought that I had was, when we have like a lot of family and tight knit family and a lot of bonding, I think that is also an impediment to take that spiritual, step, that all right decision that okay, do I want to go forward with taking this process seriously? Because I was thinking, there's what, almost 2 billion people in India, and few million devotees. I think compared to the ratio,
At most, yes, a tiny.
right. And here it's like, okay, there are a few million, total, but there are thousands of devotees. That's also, it's if we compare that way, we are both thriving in the same way. So there is that problem. Sometimes parents will say, no, you cannot go to the temple. All right, okay, mom, I cannot go. Or sometimes, no, you have to attend this social event, you have to attend this family event. We have to take care of this tradition, that tradition. So the mind is always focused on making everybody happy. And there, if you are like, okay, removed from the social, structure, and suddenly people will say, loser. This guy is not a great.
Oh, I see. That then is you. So what happens if somebody becomes a brahmachari?
No, it comes on news channel. My son, they brainwashed my son, and now he's us. Yeah, this is a big problem.
Big problem.
That's why, Prabhu, it is easy to live here in West, right?
Exactly,
We keep aside all those things.
I see.
Very easy to follow here.
So that's one advantage.
His parents keep telling us when we come here that, this place is so peaceful. We don't have to follow this tradition, this tradition.
Really?
We don't have to call.
Is that right? So wonderful. You're both your parents. Amazing.
And it's even my relatives, they came and they're like, whenever we come to Columbus, we feel like chanting, going to the temple, attend morning programs. But we go out, we go back, and we feel like that, okay, now this is dull, it's not that fun anymore.
Interesting.
So because they have all this, family to satisfy.
So
many relatives, right?
So many.
Every day you have to go somewhere.
Right. So yeah, I was thinking that, okay, in one sense, this is a blessing.
I see. Interesting. Thank you for that perspective.
And another question I had, so here it says, if somebody wants to, they can go to the demigods for the material or protection. Then where would you put Draupadi and Gajendra? Like, they're calling Krishna for protection.
Well,
so that's one type of devotee where for everything you go to Krishna, even for material desires, even though that's not the best, but still we take him as our father, our protector, our fulfills all our desires. So I mean, at least whatever we need, what we want. But we go to him. So even for protection, we go to him. Versus there are devotees like Prahlad Maharaj. No, I don't care. Everybody can hurt me, but I'm just gonna pray to my Lord. I'm not gonna ask him for protect me from this problem, that problem. There are two types of devotees. So is there that, okay, this one is higher, or
that's why this verse 10 is so important. Regardless of our position with desires, we turn to Krishna. The highest position is we don't want anything but Krishna's happiness. Like the gopis, they don't care what anyone says. which makes me wonder about how the families reconcile this. But oh, my son or my daughter's becoming a devotee, like the gopis. Isn't that wonderful? No. But if the point of this verse is, even if we still have desires, still we should turn to Krishna. And we do have desires, and we still turn to Krishna. And Krishna does not reject us because we still have some other ambitions in this world, especially in our youth. The younger we are, the more expectations, the more ambitions, the more visions we have for our future. Those things are, I have set all that aside for Krishna. No. That's our duty for Krishna, to raise a family, to have a career, to be successful in this world. But now it's being done for Krishna. And that doesn't mean that I just give all my money to Krishna. It means that my purpose every day is, Krishna, I'm offering this to you to make you happy. So I want to do it the very best that I can. And this impacts the people around us, even at work. The character of the devotees begins to shine through with the steadiness, with the purposefulness, with the joy and the meaning in our lives that is generally missing from people's lives who have no other purpose but their career, etc. There's always that nagging question, what am I doing this for? So it may not be what we would most like to do for Krishna or what we'll do eternally for Krishna, but we're doing it for Krishna now, and that's okay. So, and should we have material desires like, oh, I really want to do well in my career? Yes, that's okay. That's no longer a material desire if we want to offer it to Krishna. The main thing is, if it's not really Krishna's desire, he will show us that. And then we have to decide, okay, what is my purpose now? Is it really to please Krishna, or was it the career? So he's very tricky. He's very tricky. All of our plans just can evaporate like that. And then are we attached to Krishna, or are we attached to our plans? So depending on where we're at, everything can be offered to Krishna, but we should do so with a little bit of expectation that Krishna may have another plan. And
nowadays I stopped even planning a lot.
Yeah,
it's like I know, like whatever we plan, sometimes it works, sometimes it works better than my plan, right? Like there's no point in planning to the level of detail, and just keep it open so that you are ready to accept it. So
yes. So this is, even desiring liberation is mentioned. And sometimes devotees ask, well, is it pure devotion if I want to go back to Godhead? Should I want to just stay in the material world and serve Krishna and preach? And is it really Krishna's desire for me to go, or is it my desire? So to desire to go back to Godhead is an important part of the psychology of every devotee, in my opinion. We don't have to try to leap up to some higher platform artificially. Just and then all the vicissitudes of this world, all the setbacks, are impetus. Okay, this is my last life. I really want to wrap it up. And the older we get, the closer we come, the more fulfilling that is. And the easier it is to say, yeah, whatever. Because the jolts don't stop. Right? Srila Prabhupada said this world is shock after shock. Yeah. So when we are in Krishna consciousness, and then bad things happen, and then our non-devotee friends say, where's your God now? and we say, he's just given me some surgery to help me over a very deadly disease. I hope you get a benefit like that. Anything else?
So, Gurudev, like as a householder, like is it good to have career aspirations, or we should put that energy in like devotional service?
It's good to have career aspirations, with the caveat that we will find out if that is also Krishna's desire. Okay, so we do our best, and we have a right to our duty, but not to the fruits. So yes, it is our duty, if we're in the midst of raising a family, to have career aspirations, to pursue things, and so long as they don't overcome our sadhana. That's why I keep telling devotees, and this is what I've experienced in my life, practically anything can be manageable if we just get up early and chant our rounds. Practically anything can endure. Somehow or other. I had COVID 3 times, and even when at the worst, 2 times went very bad. 1 time was a little heavy, but even at the worst, and cycle of dream, like conscious, unconscious, miserable. Okay, this is a time for chanting, and then somehow or other get through that day, and after chanting, I was gone. So that has always helped me, and I just want to impart that to you as much as I can. Just that keeps everything in perspective. When something affects that's then we've gone over the line.
No, I think like the more we aspire, right, in material world, like we have to spend more time and energy to it. So is it worth going that route, or just put that energy like in the service? Just kind of maybe ignore or just let it go. Don't focus.
It's hard to give a blanket answer. To every situation is different, but a lot of it has to do with what inspires you. Like in times in my life, there were real estate opportunities that just presented themselves, and they energized me like anything. Of course, I had a lot of ground to make up, and I would work very hard at that, and sometimes they'd work out well, sometimes not. But the point is that I was inspired, and I felt connected with Krishna. And so, if your career opportunities energize you, yes, it's a good sign that Krishna wants you to go in that direction. Okay. And if they seem like, oh, why? Or if it seems, well, if I do this, I'm not going to be able to, I'm going to have to stay up till midnight, and then these are the measures. Okay. So do you like it? Do you like these opportunities? Do they attract you?
That's my worry. Like, I will be spending more times in meetings and other things, right? Throughout the day, I will not have time for other services. So I kind of become hesitant. I don't even look at those. I let them go. Because I see that my peers are moving up, right? Like,
oh, I see.
So sometimes I feel like, should I also go that way? But then I think, okay, now they're occupied whole day. They are just tired, right? And on the calls and everything. So I wonder if I'm okay at my place. I'm just satisfied.
Not ambitious to move.
Yeah, that's what.
And does your wife support you in that move?
Yeah, she's fine.
Yes. That's how. And economically, there's no need. You're not going to starve if you don't move up your career.
No, not not that one.
Okay.
But I keep my needs to a minimum also. Like, I don't go for fancy things. Just kind of just like a middle, like a householder.
And again, if your wife is not lamenting.
No.
Yeah. And the kids don't feel deprived.
No, they don't. I don't think so. They understand at this age.
Yeah. Some of my generation were a little extreme in this regard. That they didn't really provide even all the basic financial security for the families out of their intense desire to serve, and those families didn't remain stable in many cases. So that's. It sounds like you're living a life of a detached Paka household. It's very good. Okay, so maybe tomorrow, if everyone has time, we could continue this purport, because it's really nice, valuable purport. All right? Okay, Haribol, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.